is kind of a big deal. And that's what I went through with when like, as much as I wanted my family to stay together, I couldn't do it because the love was just gone. Like, it just vanished. All those love feelings I had for him in the beginning, they were all gone. And, like, so I couldn't, like, because it would gross me out, like, to kiss him or to think of us being together in that way. I couldn't do it. Like, how do you sleep with someone that you don't love? Like, there was no way. And so that's, like, the path that my life had to take, as painful as it was. That's what I had to do.
Do you remember a particular moment where that was severed?
I mean, it's hard to remember so far back, but I just remember, like, of course, all the, he was always, like, going to the strip clubs and stuff like that, and that's what, like, really hurt me, and what caused me kind of to drift away and to start partying, and then I met other people, and once I kind of started having attraction to other guys or started dating someone else, I was like, and then I, of course it wasn't like a serious relationship, but then I tried to like go back to it, like, oh, it's gone, just poof. Just how do you love someone one day and then a month later it's just impossible to love them again, and so I take that as like a sign, like, that's not what was meant to be. You cannot force your heart to feel something it doesn't feel. Oh my gosh, my definition of love.
Romantic love.
Like, you care about that person more than you care about yourself. And you do things, even things that are out of your comfort, like, for them, like, whether it's like giving them back tickles or doing something nice for them or surprising them, like, you go out of your way, like, you make an effort to show them that you care. Affection, like, when I think of love, like, affection, like, like, I really loved AJ, and so losing him, even though, I mean, we weren't together like a lifetime, it was only, what, 4 years, maybe 5, but I missed him for years, even after I found someone else. Like, I still found myself missing him. Like, I don't, to this day. Now it's been about 5 years, roughly. I feel like it's important to find someone who's stable. I'm not talking about, like, has a great job or anything, but you want someone who's, like, grounded, like, they know who they are, they're a man, and affection is a big one for me. Being funny, like, someone who's, like, interesting and you can have deep conversations with, and they're fun and exciting, and you try new things, and someone who wants to, like, get out there and go do things and have adventures and go on trips, and I think that's a lot of what I would be looking for. That's always been the thing, like, affectionate. Of course, you have to be attracted to them, and the humor. For me, they've got to be funny, and and a man who believes in God. That's, like, very, very important too. It would be really hard to be with someone who was, like, an atheist. 25 popped in my head too. 25, I think, is the perfect age, because you want to be, like, I think it's so cool just to be kind of a young mom, not too young, because you still want to have time, after you turn 21, to go party and do your thing and have time to meet the right guy before you just rush into it with just anyone. And I think 25, anywhere between 25 and, like, 28 is a good age to have.
Because a lot of my focus on my channel is about drug use.
Drugs suck.
Now, let's differentiate. We're talking about everything other than weed and alcohol. We're talking about hard drugs, which I'm honest that I've never tried, but I did have an interest when I was a teen. But what about you? Like, when was your first experience with drugs, being introduced, offered?
My first experience was, well, I mean, we were offered drugs, like, a few times, like, back in the day, and like ecstasy or whatever, when we went to a rave, and we were like, no, drugs, like, scared me, anything, even weed, like, I would smoke it every now and again at parties, and I couldn't control the way it made my mind work. Like, I couldn't control it, so it was just, I didn't like anything that I couldn't control like that, but then, like, I guess my first was, like, opiates. That's what I struggled with, and the first opiate I got prescribed is after I had Kayla. because, you know, I tore and stuff, and so I was in a lot of pain the first couple weeks, so this is when they were still prescribing them, like it was no big deal, so it's Percocet, and I just remember feeling so happy during that time, like so calm and peaceful, and I thought I was just happy because I just had a baby. I had no clue that these pills made you feel any way. I had no idea about pain pills at all. I just knew that I just felt happy, like, for that whole time, that whole month that I had a prescription. And then, like, or not, maybe it wasn't a month, it was a couple weeks maybe. And I remember running out and I asked for a refill, but then I never went to go pick them up, you know. But then, you know, then I hadn't had them for a long time. And then me and Cass kind of joked, like, anytime sister or someone had an operation, they'd get those, we'd be like, oh, we want one, because then we knew that they made you feel a certain way. They made you feel like you could be so depressed, and you would take a pill, and like it numbs you, and it makes you feel like that peaceful feeling. But once you get addicted, your life is a living hell, and that's what happened to me. And everything revolves around that: how to get more, how to keep from being sick, because you literally go through the worst withdrawals imaginable. There's no words, like, for that type of pain. Like, and that's why I get it, people steal, they steal from their family, they do these unspeakable acts just to get more, because it's like a matter of life and death, like, 'cause you feel like you're gonna die without them. And so living that type of life is like hell. Like, had I known that there were like free clinics you could go to get off of them, I would have done it. But I thought, like, all these rehab places were like thousands of dollars, you know, which I went to, and it cost $6,000 for me to be there for 5 days. And I left there. At first I was fine. The first day I was like, okay, I thought I was done. I thought my withdrawals were done. I thought I was cured. And it wasn't until the next day the withdrawals came back. Like, I was not there long enough, and they didn't send me home with any of the medication to help you with the withdrawals. I even tried calling and stuff, but that's how, like, I got back on them, you know. And it wasn't until, like, I found this clinic, you know, and got on that medication, which helps with the withdrawals. And of course it still sucks to have to be dependent on something, but it's way better than what my life was, you know. And getting there, you know, the first time I took the Suboxone, it was, you're supposed to wait like 2 to 3 days. Like, you're supposed to be in like withdrawal before you take it. I hadn't waited long enough because no one warned me of like what could happen, and they were just like, oh, just take it, like 12 hours should be plenty of time. And it was not, and it sends your body into precipitated withdrawal, which is like, you feel the height of, you know, when you go through withdrawals, it's like slowly builds up to the height of where you're in most pain. Well, it hits you just like a ton of bricks. Like, all of a sudden you're in what's called precipitated withdrawal, and it's the worst pain imaginable. I did not think I was going to survive it. I mean, it was just the worst. Like, I can't, there's no words to describe that pain. No words whatsoever. And so, yeah, it took that really painful experience for me to finally get off of it, you know. And I mean, life is 100 times better than it was during that time that my life revolved around those pills. And like you don't care about anything else, you know. It changes your brain chemistry. Like, you're just a different person. You don't realize the things you're doing, the people you're hurting, you know. It's just a horrible, horrible life. And I prayed to God like so many times, like, help me get out of this. I did not know if I was ever going to get out of it, because I knew that I wasn't strong enough to do it on my own, you know. And the chances of getting off something like that on your own are slim to none, because you have withdrawals for so long, and it's like no human can possibly withstand that pain for longer than a day or two, you know. And so these clinics are really good, you know, for people like that. But
thinking back to like how we wanted to do things to feel better, that's why people generally turn to drugs. What would you suggest maybe instead of, like, if you could have gone back and you're talking to yourself, like, what, if anything, could you have done?
Like, well, my addiction started when I was young, because it was alcohol. So I didn't know how to live a sober life. It wasn't like, I did not know how to do it. Everything, I had to drink almost every day. You know, I had to numb myself almost every day, and it just turned into like a habit like that. So looking back, like if, someone's in pain and they're struggling, I mean, drugs is definitely not the answer. And don't even try it that one time, because that one time it feels good, and then you always want to feel that good. Yet little do you know, your body becomes accustomed to it. So when you take that drug, you don't even feel the same effect after a month, and then you're literally just taking the drug just to not feel sick. You don't even feel good anymore. It doesn't do, have any good effects anymore. It turns into a living hell, literally. But I would say, like, definitely faith helps you, going to church, being part of a group, reading your Bible, the Bible, Psalms, a lot of the Psalms are about people that are in that deep pain, that reach out for Jesus, to help them through. So definitely turning to God and praying for strength to get through whatever battle you're facing. And hobbies, like finding hobbies, what you like to do, whether it's like drawing, painting, reading, writing, just finding that passion, working out, hiking, anything outdoors, even being around other people. Like, you never want to seclude yourself when you're going through something hard, which people tend to do, and I tended to do that. But that's never good for anyone. Just surround yourself with friends and family.
Ever been to a therapist, counselor? Did you ever do your childhood trauma type of thing?
I just saw a counselor a couple times after AJ left, and I was going through a really hard time, and I was drinking a lot. I saw this Christian counselor lady, and she was good, but you got to find the right person, because she didn't really teach me much. I remember we talked about, like what happened with childhood and what currently happened. I just didn't feel like I took much from her. I feel like it takes a special person that you connect with, on that level, and that you feel close with.
I often tell people, like, on the videos, does it always have to be a therapist? It could be a
friend is
a
just as good.
You trust, a family member. That's the thing. Like, at least talk to somebody.
Just talk to anybody.
You're my therapist more than anybody I could ever find. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, if you think about it, that's exactly what counselors do. And a friend knows you better, can help you even more than a counselor. Because a counselor, they just like go by a set of guidelines, and I'm not saying they can't help. Many of them do. Many of them like have that gift of helping people, but a lot of them don't have it. And I just remember this counselor doing like this weird light thing with me. A green light that went back and forth, and I'm like, okay, how's this supposed to help? Like, it was supposed to bring back memories, and because I blocked out and it didn't do anything for me. I'm like, can we please stop doing this? This is weird. So I think talking to your family and your best friend is just as good. Talking to someone, you don't want to just like keep all those feelings inside. So and my main quote is just, when you're going through like something hard like that, is just telling yourself, this too shall pass, because you go through phases in life, and you're going to go up and down your whole life. Life's never going to be perfect. So you just remind yourself every day that this too shall pass. Well, of course, I was just sad because my marriage ended, and AJ left just one night. One day you have a husband, and the next he's just gone forever, and it was like experiencing a death, and I didn't even want to live anymore. Like, life was just like, he was my family, and like, so instead of like turning to my family for help, I just literally kept to myself. And like, because when I'm in that deep pain, I don't know how to reach out. I didn't know how to reach out for help, and that's like one of the worst things you can do, is just being a recluse, and like, I just literally, if I wasn't working, I was at home drinking and writing, which writing is a good tool to help you through times. But then I told myself, I'm not going to do this. I can't let AJ like take my life from me like this. I can't let this be for nothing, so I forced myself, as hard as it was. I started going to AA meetings. I tried my best to stop drinking, which I went back and forth, but at least I was trying. I started going to the gym. That was like my therapy. At first it was a chore going to the gym, but then it turned into like, I looked forward to it. It was like my time, and I would bring my earphones and I would listen to music, and I would just go on the elliptical for maybe 30 minutes. I would close my eyes and I would just listen to my favorite music, and it was like really a form of therapy for me, and like just doing that like really helped me out. And of course reading the Bible too, or reading, you know, those type of books. I would go to the Goodwill and I would find like some really interesting religious type of books during that time, and then just like hanging out with you or with my sisters. You know, I really looked forward to anything family gatherings, you know, that kind of helped me to bring me out of my depression. And then meeting John, of course, that helped too, that I kind of, I don't know if you want to say replacement, but, you know, I had someone else to love to get my mind off of losing AJ. So ignored me for years, and there was so many times if he would have called, I would have been like right back at his feet. You know, I was just begging for him to want to be back together, like for so many years. But then like once I had finally accepted that loss, and I was like, okay, well, I have to move on no matter what, you know, where it's broken enough to where like it can't be repaired with that person, then it's just, you gotta cut your losses and just move on, you know. So yeah, love's a funny thing.
We are definitely on a new journey, I guess.
Yeah. You are.
We are, because does he not know that, like,
tipstill.
Like, it's a package deal?
Package deal. I'm moving in with y'all when we're all old and gray.